everybody, and welcome to the July 1st Trips and Traps. We're into July, last month at Belmont before we go to Saratoga. And the great news, of course, I'm Andy Serling, Eric Donovan. We're back on the turf.
That is great news. That means we got two full segments to bring you. Let's jump right into the action. The 6th race, from June 24th is where we'll begin. It's a state-bred maiden special weight on the grass. We're going to look at the 2, Storm Hope, and the 5, Pernice.
Yeah, and this was kind of a much talked about race, or at least people I know. And we're talking about 2 horses, you said. Pernice is the 5, very easy to see in those orange silks, and we'll highlight her. But inside of her, getting very good position early, is the eventual second-place finisher, Storm Hope. And this race, of course, was the second leg of the big pick 6 carryover we had, and a lot of people liked Storm Hope, who finished second, and felt maybe she was best. You could argue that, but we thought a lot of different things happened in the race.
Yeah, certainly. We'll take a look at him here right now. You see Storm Hope sitting in a good spot, 3rd behind the speed. Pernice is kind of steadying, checking a little bit toward the back of the pack, losing some position. But I think the position that Storm Hope is losing here is going to play in key throughout the rest of the race.
I agree, and it's a question of, maintaining your position, and it's easier said than done, but it really feels like Storm Hope went in this race from having a very sweet spot to having a decent spot, but ultimately what happens to her, or him, top of the stretch, is the winner really gets the jump on him, and he sort of gets blind switched behind horses as the winner's opening up just too big a lead. Now, the other thing is, we talk about these mile and eighth races on the turf. They're tricky races, and it seems like that horse that establishes itself top of the stretch, early in the stretch, is the one that wins the race very often.
Yeah, I think for this particular race, a 24-4 opening quarter, a quick pace on in this race here, so you're probably looking for someone to come from a little bit off the pace, and indeed there was some kind of pace collapse in here as the 2 front runners finished off the board in this spot here, but you see once they pass the trees here where the 2 is Storm Hope, and just really not gaining any position, kind of staying in that 5th spot or 6th spot down on the rail, and also Pernice really, just going kind of nowhere from the back of the pack.
I agree. Now, the winner is right outside of Storm Hope as she moves the 2 path, and the eventual winner is the 1A in those sort of polka dot green silks. There's Storm Hope, but the winner just gets such a better trip, and Pernice is just sitting in the back of the pack, behind horses, never really gets a clear run. He runs okay. I'm not exactly sure what to make of him. Boy, it would have been nice if he had slightly better position in the race. And now you see the winner making that move on the outside, and Storm Hope is almost left in his dust. He's a good 3 lengths behind him here. Went from being on the horse's flank on the turn to being 3 behind. Pernice just inside that one. Now, obviously, Storm Hope rallies stronger than Pernice, but Pernice is trying to do it between horses, and had some traffic there. I'm not saying Pernice would have won, but I think Pernice is okay. Storm Hope probably should have won this race.
Yeah, I think both these horses pretty good. Storm Hope, I think you're right. After looking at that, should have won the race. I mean, Storm Hope had to wait for both Quiet on the Tee and the 11 horse Playful Majesty to kind of clear off, get a couple lengths in front, so that horse can get outside and make the run. And I think Pernice just having to sit back at the back of the pack there. Although the pace kind of set up for a horse like Pernice, still just being jammed up in a number of spots there didn't do him any favors.
Right, and just left with a little too much to do and trying to do it between horses. Both of these horses. I mean, obviously, Storm Hope is going to be a short price next time. Pernice might be a slightly better price in its next start.
Second race on the segment here, race number 7 from June 25th. this was on the turf, also at a mile and 1/8 on the inner turf course, and we're looking at the 6 McVictory here.
Yeah, this was a race where I'm not exactly sure where to go with McVictory in this race. And McVictory lost this race by over 10 lengths. McVictory's the 6 horse, right inside of the 8. There's no 7 in here. This was a race, if you watch it, that was dominated by horses that basically had inside trips, and McVictory has the opposite of an inside trip, really pretty much never being much inside of the 3 or 4 path during any running of the race. And also, McVictory's a horse that probably would like to have a little bit of maybe more pace, but I don't even know if that's the problem. The problem is McVictory never gets in any kind of comfortable spot.
Yeah, you can definitely see that early on in the race there were 2 tiers of horses, the front group, the back group, and then they were all stacked 3 or 4 wide across this track. But right here you see jockey Cornelio Velasquez. It seems like he just doesn't know quite where to go with McVictory. If he should try to move him up and make some, or move her up and make some kind of run, or just sit toward the back of the pack. I think eventually he gets into kind of a comfortable spot here, sitting toward the middle of the pack. But we'll see McVictory come around the second turn. Now McVictory kind of drops back off those other 2 horses that were right to her inside. They kind of make a little bit of a move up here, and now McVictory's kind of back to last in this spot here. So a real tricky spot I think Cornelio Velasquez found himself in here.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I mean, it's the dynamics of the race. It's the dynamics of a mile and 1/8 turf race here. It's very tricky. And McVictory, I don't think either of us are suggesting McVictory should have won this race. But the question, of course, with all these races, what do you do going forward? Now, the horse who's in the lead finishes, I think, fourth in this race. The winner's the horse right behind her. The horse right behind her finishes third, and the horse outside of that and inside of McVictory finishes second in this race. But McVictory takes all the worst of it, now making this turn move 4 wide, really 5 wide at this point. And I just felt like McVictory is one of these horses that never really had a fair chance. Now, she's also not really good enough. Maybe she needs a drop-in for $50,000 claiming or something, 3-year-olds. She's still a non-winner as a 2 lifetime, and she did start her career out winning a maiden claiming race in the turf. She showed enough promise. She belonged in allowance races, but at this point, I think maybe 50 non-winners of 2 lifetimes where she belongs, and she could drown a field in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think she would have to take a drop-in class for sure. I just don't see these allowance races, entry-level allowances, getting any easier as Saratoga approaches throughout the summer. McVictory, has had a bunch of chances. We've seen her, I think we've seen her, and we know where she's most effective. She's most effective in that level just below the non-winners of 1, I think.
I agree, and I also think a one, sort of 1 turn, 1 1/4 turn, a Widener, mile and 1/16 might suit her well. Her one race here, she got that fast pace that collapsed. We'll go to our last race for this segment, and this race is the second race from June 26th. We're going to show 3 races in total from this day. This is the only one in the dirt, and we're going to look at number 3, Royal Vessel. Now, these are cheap horses, no question about it. But this field is probably going to assemble again. And the 3 Royal Vessel, in my mind, had absolutely no chance given the trip.
Royal Vessel kind of gets one of those stuck down inside trips that, you like to see when you're getting them until the top of the stretch when it doesn't pan out so well. Right here, I think Royal Vessel's getting a great trip sitting behind 2 speed horses right there on the inside. All Royal Vessel has to do, or her jockey has to do, is find some room. And in these kind of races, it's going to be tricky here. But like you said, this is a 15,000 2 lifetime claimer. Royal Vessel, these horses might meet again, but I don't know after this spot here how much you're going to see Royal Vessel over the 6 weeks up at Saratoga.
I agree. I think we're going to get one more chance with Royal Vessel, and that's all I want is one more chance against a very similar field. And it's a situation where, Royal Vessel ends up dropping really more to the fence here. And you can see right here she's not getting much room. She had that 2-path position, the backstretch, and if they'd been able to drift out a little bit and get the 2 or 3 path, it's possible she wouldn't have gotten herself in this jackpot, because you see the horse in orange sort of drifts over on her here, and she's caught behind horses, and the horse in front of her, Approved by Mom, sort of backing up in her face, the horse outside of her keeping her in, and Royal Vessel here never has a fair chance to get out and do any running, and pinned inside still here.
Still not comfortable at this spot here, and it just looks like Edgar Prado's kind of looking for, a place to ride her, and just got to come through in between horses there a little bit, has to alter course back off the rail in between, so never really got a full head of steam going throughout the stretch. I don't think she finished up with much run either in this spot here, but I think the point where she was going to be asked at the top of the stretch was when she got into that trouble, and I think that cost her some momentum and probably led to her getting beaten by a few more lengths than she did.
I agree, and they're cheaper horses. There's not that much you can expect from them, and none of us are saying that Royal Vessel is a world beater, but I will give her another chance against this crew. I think she deserves one more chance. She's had trouble in both her starts. Anyway, that does it for this segment of Trips and Traps. We appreciate your watching, of course, and remember that email address is tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. Send the thoughts, keep them coming. Love to hear what people have to say.
And stay tuned. We'll be back with another segment soon.